Realize that the guy that markets is going to whoop you.
Yeah.
He's going to whoop you.
Yeah.
Joe Buck Wild sounds like a crazy name. And then in 50 years, it's like, oh my God. Hey there, guys. Nolen and Jason here with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
Today is Joe Buck Wild, best roofing salesman of all times.
Part 2.
Part 2. Joe Buck Wild, best roofing salesman of all times, part 2. Now, we talked about Joe Buck Wild a little bit. I want to talk about it a little bit
Meaning
more.
we made him up.
We made him.
Out of thin air last podcast.
We did make up Joe Buck Wild. And I want to talk about the mentality and how great businesses start.
Yeah.
And how perception is different. And, you know, I mean, I immediately, you think about the Kennedys, the royal family of America.
Yeah.
But, you know, and their stuff was a totally different thing. It wasn't a salesman. But people start up and love to hate on people. And I still look at people that are influencers or business influencers, and you can really hate on some of these people. But
in some cases, it's really easy.
It's easy to hate on them. And you can have a roofer be the best guy. But nobody ever says, oh, Grandpa was a mild-mannered reclusive that never stepped out, and he created this roofing empire for us.
Right.
And nobody remembers anybody that, you know, normally when something gets going, it's a sales guy that went kind of wild, that went crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that guy's crazy.
Crazy and quite possibly borderline illegal in some cases.
Well, yeah, like Kennedy stuff. Like,
yeah.
Right? So it's like, but the point is things legitimize. And I used to hate on this sort of stuff. And it's like, oh, I hate this guy or that. And I try not to judge anymore too much. I mean, it's still, you still look at some people and you're like, oh, that guy's screwing people around.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a roofer that's a sales guy that gets out there and another roofer looks at that guy and says, well, he's just a charlatan and a thief. That guy, he doesn't know how to manage a crew.
His crew put a roof on and it leaked, and
Yeah.
and I've actually had this conversation.
They're shooting nails in one side of the shingle and popping them around. They're violating this wind violation, this code violation, all that. But Joe Buck Wild don't care.
Right.
He
Because
don't
he made
care.
the sale.
He made the sale, and I'm not condoning Joe Buck Wild, but I'm telling you he'll legitimize.
We're not condoning sloppy work.
I'm not. I'm just trying to let someone understand what it takes to have a business work. So somebody
Right.
called me the other day and they said, well, I don't want to do that. I want a roof. I don't want to do a data pen. I said, so you don't want to market.
Yeah.
I said, but you own a business. And so this wasn't a Joe Buck Wild. This is a guy that was trying to be technician, trying to make sure he installed a roof. So the sales guy that gets going, that's not the most appetizing guy. He's a bit of a jerk. He's going to market to get sales, to get a lead, to get a sale. He's going to get money and capital. And he's going to eventually get a bad review or something. But this Joe Buck Wild's got cash and leads coming in.
Right.
And he's making money. And I'm telling you, this guy that you hate in your market is going to legitimize his services.
Yeah. Because he's got leads and he's got revenue, which means the other problems can be solved.
Yeah, it's a weak analogy, but I've been to chiropractors for good or bad. I've been to chiropractors here and there. Just like I think it makes sense. And so there's some of these guys work on T1, T2 vertebra only. You ever heard of those guys?
Yeah, they'll get like the hammer and
they're like, you're done.
Spike. And,
You're done. So that chiropractor is a specialist, and there's a lot of other vertebra, but he's like, if you get T1 and T2 lined up, everything else will line up.
Right.
And if you get sales dialed in and get revenue, you'll figure out systems, processes, service, taxes, legal.
Either you will figure it out yourself or you'll hire somebody who knows it.
You'll have the resources to do so. And Joe Buck Wild will go from this jackass type dude that you love to hate, and he'll become the best roofer in your market.
Yeah.
And he'll have the best service, and eventually his service will beat your service outright.
He'll hire your guys, probably.
You'll go from hating him to thinking he's slimy and then the next generation won't remember Joe Buck Wild. They'll just be like, them Buck Wilds run this show around here.
Yeah.
I wonder how they got going.
Buck Wild Roofing, they do half the roofs in town.
Yeah, because Grandpa Joe was a marketing madman. He marketed it and he sold, and he got revenue, and he built a business, and he fixed all the other problems as it went. So it is impossible to run a business without resources and revenue and all that. and you can take something. And I have done this myself so many times. And there's a guy in digital marketing that I don't poke fun at him anymore, in case you don't notice that, because he's a GOAT at this point of one of the categories. And I don't know if he's better than us, but he's right up there with us.
Yeah.
And he came across for years real salesy douchey.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't hear me dogging him anymore.
No.
And I don't dog him anymore, because if I dog that guy or judge that guy or hate upon that guy, it actually stops me from growing forward.
Yeah, it stops you from recognizing what he's doing.
Right.
That maybe you should emulate or at least consider.
So we did better services, and he caught up with services with us once on digital marketing, and we beat him again.
Right.
But they caught up with us one time. The guy was a jackass sales guy, but he was a prolific marketer.
Yep.
And he came across, and he still comes across to me. I changed my opinion about him. I don't see it that way. He doesn't seem as jerky, douchey as he used to of a guy. He seems like he
hadn't changed, by the way.
He hadn't changed much. It's me that changed. He seems like a consistent sales guy that's kind of professional.
Yeah.
And then I have to look back at myself, and I'm like, okay. And I think we're at a point now to where we're looking like, okay, I like to compete against people and compete with stuff, but if you hate on stuff, this guy eventually just has a great business.
Yeah. Don't hate your competitors. You're not in an actual war with your competitors. Competition and war are not the same thing. And don't hate your competitors. Learn from them.
Yeah.
Emulate what they do better than you.
And realize that the guy that markets is going to whoop you.
Yeah.
He's going to whoop you.
Yeah.
Joe Buck Wild sounds like a crazy name. And then in 50 years, it's like, oh my God, that Buck Wild family, they're just, that's it.
Buckwild Industries.
Yeah. Anyway.
They built every house in town or whatever.
Yeah. Nobody talks about the indiscretions of the Kennedy family, do they?
No.
They don't talk about
Except maybe in an election year.
They don't talk about it. They just talk about their royalty and this and that. Nobody talks about the other stuff. And I'm not even talking that bad. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm talking, that was straight up illegal activity.
Yeah. Way back in the day, we're talking 2 generations back, Grandpa Kennedy.
Nobody talks about it anymore. I mean, people about it.
Look it up.
But no, people do talk about it, and most people know what we're talking about. But mainly, they just admire this family.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that Joe Buckwild, Grandpa, sets this stuff up and sets the stage for that roofer, for that company. And they don't remember that he was a pretty brash jerk of a guy that barreled in and sold that didn't know anything about a roofing system. Nobody remembers that part of it.
Right.
They don't. They
remember the result, not the path to
legacy.
Get there.
And that guy became, anyway, the best service.
I mean, hell, if you want a much less famous story, my grandfather on my mother's side, at one point, he ran a general store. I mean, this is a tiny town in East Texas. He didn't have a business empire, but he had a successful business.
Sam Walton or something?
And no, I mean, nothing like that. But, he owned about 200 acres by the end. Right. You know how he started?
Yeah.
Moonshine runner.
Moonshine. There you go. Was this in Texas or Louisiana?
Yeah, East Texas. Right at the border. So it was East Texas crossing into Louisiana with, revenuers on his tail.
Yeah.
If he had been 20 years younger, he'd have been a NASCAR driver. Yeah. We used to get in his car, and he would drive down these little twisty 2-lane roads in East Texas with one hand on the wheel going 95 miles an hour, or in his truck, and we're in the back of the truck bouncing around. I'm surprised we didn't die. And he never missed a turn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going that deep on it, like to where people are doing actual. And I mean,
I'm just saying he made money doing that. And then opened a legitimate business, and he was well.
He did have that's where the store came.
Yeah, then he got the money from that, opened a general store, had a bunch of land, and he was extremely respected, pillar of the community guy. Started out running moonshine.
Yeah, I was just talking about a jackass sales guy. You're condoning illegal activities to these people.
It was prohibition. Nobody agrees with prohibition.
You need a roof? I mean, I'm talking about not getting your ass kicked. That kind of. I moved from.
It's a nice roof you got there. It would be a shame if something happened to it. I was just giving a different little story with perspective.
Yeah.
Same deal, same kind of deal.
People are like, but seriously, guys will talk about it and they look at people and like, how did that happen? It's like, that guy just stepped out and understood marketing.
Yeah.
And then he didn't care about anything else and he tried. And you want to hate the hell out of him, but he's going to dominate you eventually.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And I mean, I get it. We talk to guys all the time that their whole focus is, like you said, they're a technician. They know their roofing systems and they put on a great roof. They do a fantastic job, but they might not cover the market again so well.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it yourself, get someone, get yourself a Joe Buckwild in the door and hire the webmasters.
You need to hire roofing webmasters and get data pens. But you better sell it yourself.
Yeah,
you by God better sell it yourself. Joe Buckwild comes in your door, and he's out the door, and then he's got Joe Buckwild roofing.
True enough.
So you can hire him temporarily, but you best do your own stuff. And the only way to beat Joe Buckwild is to join him and sell well. He'll come in and come through town because people all the time. I hear it all the time. They're like, well, I've been in business forever, and so-and-so showed up, and they're all over the place. And usually they're been around several years. They think they showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But they've been working to fight to get above you or get into Pack 3 map ranking and bump you out of ranking, and then they show up out of nowhere, but they've been fighting for it for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you're down. You didn't
overnight
fight.
Success after 9 years in the business, that kind of thing.
Year and a half, 2 usually is what I see, but they've been sending out signals, fighting. They've been getting sales. And then you guys don't fight for it, don't send any signals out, you're complacent. And then you look at that guy and want to say something bad about him or,
Yeah.
And maybe he deserves to have some bad stuff said about him on some level, but I'm telling you, that guy's going to end up performing good services and having a better business.
Yeah, the guy you hate is probably doing something right.
The business itself that he has will become a better business than the one that you have because he'll have resources to turnkey that business.
Right.
And he'll be able to get people in there and provide best services, best product, and eventually he'll figure it out. And if he doesn't, he'll crash and burn and leave pretty quick. But most of these guys don't. They do sometimes in roofing.
Yeah.
Though. They'll be just.
I think you talked to one the other day that he'd worked as a salesman.
Sad story, really.
And he went off on his own, and he wasn't as quite as good as he thought he was.
He wasn't Joe Buckwild.
Yeah,
he was Joe Buck Mild.
Yeah, Joe Buck Mild.
Joe Buck Mild. He thought it was good, but he wasn't great.
It's good. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you got a guy like that, you've probably seen guys like that in your area. You probably had some of your own salespeople leave and try to start their own thing and crash and burn. Maybe
this
come
guy
back and beg for a job back. But.
Yeah, he wasn't that great, but he thought he was great.
Yeah,
he got fired by the company because he kept asking for draws, and they just got sick of his crap.
Oh, that's right.
He probably burned leads, but he didn't. He thought he was God's gift to sales.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Buckwild, I'm talking about, actually is God's gift to sales,
Yeah.
and he only knows sales. This guy thought he was, and he obviously wasn't. Otherwise, the roofer wouldn't have fired him.
Yeah.
He got sick of his
I was just making the point. You'll see the guys come along, and obviously, if they crash and burn, it means they weren't that good at it.
Yeah.
But the guy that is will take your spot if you're not careful.
Even if he doesn't know the service end of it.
Right.
But this guy, by the way, tried to start. He tried to start his own business, but he didn't have anything. So he had a card, but he didn't have a website or any brand.
Right.
So then he went to work for somebody else trying to sell stuff, but he was having trouble selling their stuff because they didn't have a brand. Not as good as one as he got fired from.
Right.
And he called us to get a website going, but he didn't have any money or a brand or anything else. And when he went to go try to sell stuff, nobody would buy from him because he was a little buck mild acting, and they'd check him online. He had no brand.
Yeah, he was a ghost online.
Right.
They're
So
like,
then,
well, we've never heard of you, and we can't find any information about you.
So then his sales would fall through.
Yeah.
I actually brought that up and said, yeah, that's happening. And then I didn't hear from him. He was too unstable to do anything, basically. Yeah. So he may try again later, but, yeah, that's not your Joe Buckwild.
Yeah.
But Joe Buckwild comes along, doesn't care, says, I'm going in this business. I barely know it. I worked for somebody for 6 months. I got the name of 3 sub-crews. I know where to order my stuff from. I set up an account at ABC, and I'm going.
Right.
I saw an article on ABC Roofing.
Yeah.
Have you ever read their history?
No.
Pretty sure that's like an extremely wealthy female-owned business.
Okay.
Yeah, the ABC Supply. There's some unless I'm going crazy, I read something about it. An ABC Supply company is a female-run business, and she's like loaded. Not wrong on that. I'm gonna look it up real quick. owner. There we go. This is an interesting, Diane M. Hendricks, co-founder of products distributor ABC company with her late husband, Kenneth Hendricks, in 1982. Since 2007, Diane has been the chairman and sole owner, worth $15 billion.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Her personally or the company?
I think her personally.
Well, I mean if she's the sole owner, she might have all the shares.
Diane's the richest self-made woman in America.
Damn.
ABC supply company. Looks like, I don't know. That was the husband. Who's happy? Got that billionaire smile.
Got that billionaire smirk on him.
He does have the smirk.
I'm rich as hell. I can do
Well, he's
whatever
not
I
around
want.
anymore. Now it's her. So yeah, she now it's her. Anyway, interesting story. But yeah, so I segued there. But yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, it's a good life if you'll market. Most guys don't do it.
Yeah.
Most guys, and also we did one recently about most guys getting negative, twisted, mad, judgmental, not participating. I mean, just all these things. And it comes back into this stuff too. You got this guy and you really need to just leave. You need to lay that down, leave it alone, and join the game and fight.
Right. I had an old colleague of mine used to refer to it as a Field of Dreams syndrome or Kevin Costner syndrome, that you think if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
You can be the best roofer on earth, and if nobody knows who you are or how to find you, and there's someone else up in their face selling them a new roof, you're never going to hear from them.
If you'll sell your roofing company brand and send out digital branded signaling, they will come.
Exactly.
Yeah, they will come. But you got to do that.
But you can't just build a roof. You got to build your brand.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I don't know what else I have on this one. I'm going to keep going. I'll tell you, you're a digital branded signal. You've got to participate in what the hell's going on out there and try not to get too confused by it.
Right.
You need to have stuff on multiple channels. Google, Bing, and ChatGPT and AI search still the biggest thing. Google Map Pack 3 and Google Map ranking, reputation reviews, organic keywords. So all the search algorithm stuff still the biggest stuff. Multiple points of digital brand signaling have to come in for that to occur, and you should be going hardcore for it all the time.
Right.
All the time. And if you don't do that, you're not going to show up in ranking, and you'll just sit there whimpering, wondering about why you didn't show up, who did show up. People like Joe Buckwild whoop your butt one side down the other. Doesn't matter if they're a nice guy or a bad guy. And that bad guy, Buckwild, eventually going to roll you over, and he'll provide good service.
Yeah, he'll get there.
So you
and
hate on him all you want.
Just to reinforce your point, you were talking about keywords and organic and map ranking is still the best thing, and that remains true even with the advent of more social media, even with the helpful content update of the Google algorithm, even with the introduction of AI into search, even with the introduction of voice search. All these weird little things that have come along as a distraction that people try to sell you as the next big thing in marketing.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
good point.
The stuff you just said is still the biggest thing, and all those things really just feed into it.
AI is just the AI version of organic content.
Yeah, it's still, it discovers who to find the same way. The AI just presents it a different way, but it's fundamentally the same thing.
And I'm not saying that you can't do other stuff, but if you don't do the original part of it first, the rest of it really won't work.
Right.
So you might be finding DJI drones and putting up drone footage and stuff on a YouTube account and Instagram account, but those probably won't return much on their own unless you embellish that with some other expertise of social media. But they will bump the other old school stuff up 10 or 20% after it's already going.
Yeah, once you've established your brand and sent out those brand signals with your website and everything else, if you then add that YouTube channel, that gives you the extra push, but it doesn't work the other way.
Those extra brand signals and things going out, your digital branded footprint, your company's brand, you're pushing these signals, and life can be fantastic, and you get up in ranking and keep it and keep adding to it. It's a good life out there for it. I do think, I'm glad you said something, because there's so much more confusion than there used to be.
Yeah.
People hear a bunch of stuff, they get confused. We add coaching in with this now, so the clients hear from us monthly, and they know, and they get a little bit more communication so they don't get off track.
Right.
And they need that so much worse than they think they do. So much
well,
worse.
I mean, even when you have a client who's pretty well dialed in, smart guys, whatever, they're barraged, on a monthly basis, possibly
Harangued,
weekly basis. Someone calling them saying, "Oh, we got this new thing."
Yeah.
One of my guys, one of my colleagues, Preston, talked someone off the ledge because a geofencing company called him a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that old,
and that's just absolute BS
nonsense
at this point.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, yeah." And they tried to talk this client, telling him that data pins was inferior to geofencing,
right.
and it was like, and Preston handled it like a champ, talked the guy off the ledge, all good, but it was just. All of our clients are constantly hit with
geofencing, and it's not probably what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's not like hitting everybody inside a Costco or something. That's what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's actually just a fake term for, it's just.
Well, what's funny is there is a way to do geofencing where you have location targeted ads.
What were they talking about? Yeah.
They were talking more like they were talking geofencing as in identifying a neighborhood, and that's where you'll show up in organic, and they do that with a geofencing method, and that is BS.
It's just paid ads anyway.
Yeah, it's just paid ads.
I'm sorry, my brain was thinking of social fortressing.
Don't get me started on the social fortressing.
Social fortressing, but it's an inbound sales call, by the way.
Yeah,
with a hooky sale where they can grab money one time or a little bit of residuals.
It's like when clients call, sometimes they say, "I keep getting calls from other marketing companies." I say, "Yeah, how do you think they find you?"
And by the way,
they're finding you on the front page because we got you there.
Don't take them. Do not take them. There isn't anybody that I'm aware of calling out that provides good marketing.
Right.
Not one. So if you quit talking to those people. Google does not call you.
If they had to call you, that means that you didn't think you needed to talk to them.
And you didn't get exposed to them on social media or organic ranking. When you searched them, they didn't show up. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
You didn't find them on
You just got to call out of nowhere.
You got to call out of nowhere, old school style, and somebody's going to harangue you and like old school hard close sell you with a one-call transactional close.
Yeah.
And you're going to get screwed. So, yeah, you do need to market. Be careful out there. We're here to help with this stuff. If you want our help, we do more of this stuff. Like and subscribe, please, to our channels. You'll get some stuff. You can also check me out. I'm doing some personal branded stuff. I think I'll continue to do it. Nolen Walker, Nolen Walker. You can go follow me there, and I do general business advice.
Nolan's actually going live almost every day on his YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah,
and you can get on and ask Nolan questions, and it's pretty cool.
Good stuff, and we'll help keep you dialed in. Done this stuff a long, long time. I was a contractor. I remind people. I'm going to start saying that again for a while because I think I go through it. And I honestly don't think I give off my rougher speech a little bit here and there, but I don't give off much contractor vibe anymore.
Yeah.
I've been doing the desk work for a long time, but it was contracting companies for decades, decades. Guys, call us when you're ready. We look forward to it. We'll see you.
Take it easy.